Season 9, Episode 8. Okay, look here. Let's get on to it. This was a boring. Nah, I ain't gonna say it. It was an okay episode. I think the only thing that really happened, aside from the same thing, Karen still not picking up her doggone baby, is that Zach overheard Fatima on the phone telling Danny that she was relieved when the baby that was stillborn was his. And I was like, okay, now. Okay, now. I said just what Zach and Fatima needed, more doggone drama. Zach heard Fatima tell Danny that she was relieved when the stillborn was Zach's. Do y'all want them to stay a couple or not? I'm confused now. Every doggone season is something. Every doggone season is something. But yeah, how do y'all think this will affect their relationship? Once again, if you didn't know, well, we don't really know either, but people have been speculating before this season even started that Zach and Fatima supposed to part ways during, I think they said the first half of this season, but we already towards the end. We're already towards the end, the mid-season finale. But yeah, they had been saying over social media that Fatima's supposed to be moving out and stuff like that. So I don't know how true it is. But yeah, like I said at the end of this episode, he heard her say out her mouth that she was relieved that that baby was his, that was stillborn. I said, now why would you say that out loud? Now it was a whole lot of people saying that, obviously. But you don't let that come out. Then to tell Karen, the friend, I know that's your friend too, but at the same time, that's not something you go around saying, girl. That's like, more problems. But aside from that, what else happened? Sabrina was laid up with this old dude, this grandpa, what was his name? Frank. But they didn't sleep together, y'all. They didn't sleep together. Paige introduced Maurice to her brother Dylan. Danny getting irritated with Tony already. Karen still struggling, but Aaron slowly starting to express how he feels about the whole situation. I think it's more to come. I might be wrong, but we'll see. And the last thing that happened was that Andy, the reason she met up with Vaughn is because she wanted to talk to him about, she going after the hospital as well as Dr. Cruz. And he was just telling her, they already trying to have a meeting with him because of what he did and stuff like that. So he don't really want to help, but I'm assuming he going to help y'all. We'll see. But okay, let's talk about it. So, once again, this is Tyler Perry Sistas, Season 9, Episode 8. The name of it was Truth Is. The synopsis says, Sabrina embraces a bold new version of herself, throwing Rich and Andy off balance. As tensions rise between Zach and Fatima over pregnancy plans, Karen faces her fears of motherhood alone. But they didn't actually show her. That's another doggone week of her not picking up her baby. And a lot of people still have concerns about that. They still saying how, the reason being is because it was Zach's baby or whatever. But she told Aaron on tonight's new episode that, it's hard for her or whatever. She afraid that she's going to mess up again. And Aaron was trying to let her know, it's not your fault. You're not responsible. I mean, it looked like she's doing better on next week's episode because she's going to be talking to Andy, or Andy going to be talking to her about, suing the hospital and everything. But okay, look here. Where do we start at? I think they picked up where they left off, where Rich had walked in and he said, he basically told him, beat it, pops, or whatever. These ain't the problems you want, or whatever. I say Rich. That's a Rich. Rich ended up asking Sabrina if she was trying to date her daddy issues out. I said, oop. So when she got to the house, she done took the man to her house or whatever. They were sitting on the couch just talking and stuff like that. She had been drinking and stuff. So she went in. What he did? I think he tried to touch her hair. Then he was talking about pulling it and stuff. So she got offended by that. She went and called Maurice and was just letting them know what happened and stuff like that. Then he came, knocked on her door or whatever. And the way she started ducking down, I was like, girl. I said, the door was closed. He can't see you, girl. But yeah, they didn't end up doing nothing, though. They didn't end up doing nothing because he couldn't, he couldn't get it to do what it's supposed to do. He couldn't get it to do what it's supposed to be done. What else? Sabrina ended up saying Andy over here urging her to do this. At first she was saying how she's not for the streets, but then she was urging her to go with Frank. I said, don't urge her to go with that man. Now I know some people into that type of stuff, but obviously she's not. But yeah, Sabrina ended up telling Andy about Rich and Penelope, and Andy was saying how she don't like Penelope or whatever. We ain't seen Jordan, we ain't seen Gary. I was like, dog, maybe they done for y'all. Maybe they ain't coming back. I said they should have took the rest of these dudes too. They should have took I still got a little hope for what's his name? Tony. I still got a little hope for Tony, y'all. It's a little 1% hope, but that's still there. Now, Rich, you could go and get him up out the way. Now, I don't agree with them over here like he cheated, he did this and that, because he didn't cheat. He did not cheat, but okay. But yeah, Serena trying to get her groove back and stuff. That's why she took the man home with her. Fatima was trying to talk to Zach. She was trying everything. She was trying to talk to him, but he not listening. He says he went to see Karen, so they ended up talking about that. And he was like, she heard the baby was crying and she didn't budge and she didn't move, and she was just trying to check on him. She made him some tacos. He didn't want that. So then she tried to, get him to sleep with her and stuff. He didn't want that. So then she grabbed the Bible and everything and said, that's where they should have started. So then they see, it's a knock at the door. And I'm like, who's going to be at the door? It was a midwife. It was a midwife. Fatima was irritated from the moment the midwife came. So he took it upon himself to get a midwife. But he was like, it's just a consultation. And he kept saying how he doesn't want her to have the baby in the hospital. She was like, she want to have a hospital birth. She also wants the epidural. And he was like, no hospital birth because, the whole Karen situation. And I understand that. And Fatima was saying the same thing, how she understood that. And they was talking about a water birth and stuff like that. And Fatima was like, no. And she just kept telling him no. After the lady had left, that's when they got to talking about it. And he was trying to explain his reasoning. She was like, I understand that, but, it's her body, her choice. She wants to decide what she does and what she don't do. So she got irritated and she left. So then she came back. Might as well go and get that out the way. So she came back or whatever. And she looked around, make sure he wasn't around or whatever, which is crazy because they got like one room up the steps. I just thought about that on the spot. I was like, she started looking around. Didn't she come from upstairs? I was like, wouldn't she know? Or maybe she was looking up. I don't know, y'all. Maybe I got it wrong. Because I was like, it's only one room up there, ain't it? But yeah, maybe she was looking to make sure he wasn't coming down the steps. But yeah, she called Danny. She was like, she need to talk to somebody. I said, it's certain things you shouldn't say. I mean, because she said she didn't say she was glad that the baby was dead or nothing like that, but she did say she was relieved that it was Zach baby, so that's kind of the same thing. Maybe not, but still. I was like, don't tell this girlfriend that. Don't tell Dan to get back out. And she kept telling her or asking her, to promise she's not going to say anything. She was like, I'm not going to say nothing and stuff like that. So, she was like, Zach is, he acting strange and stuff like that. And what else did she say? Let me see, because I skipped all the way ahead. She called Dan and says that Zach is off. He acting strange or whatever. She hates that Karen lost the baby. She did say that. But she was relieved when the stillborn was Zach's, and he overheard it. And I said, I'm confused now. I said, they trying to, I know we got the spin-off, so we good. We know they going to end up together or whatever, allegedly, because we don't know until the last episode of Zatima. But as of right now, we know they going to be together. We know that for a fact. But it's like they ain't got no other storyline for these folks while they on Sistas. I said, every season is something. Every season. But yeah, I was like, I wonder how he gonna feel. Now, he went back up the steps. Now, I don't know if he gonna be offended because I'd be offended. You just said you relieved that my baby dead. Basically, that's what she said. And I was like, I'd definitely be offended. Or is he gonna be like, I didn't really truly understand everything that she's been through or how she felt this way and stuff like that, and he gonna see her perspective or whatever. I don't know. Either way it go, I'm like, dude, they didn't need no more problems. They didn't need no more. They need to work through their communication issues as it is. Y'all know I've been on the fence for a few years now about them getting married. Y'all know if y'all, well, I say a couple years at least, about them getting married, because they'll be good one day. Next thing you know, it'll be all the way downhill. They still don't know how to communicate with each other. Whatever. But yeah, I was like, dog, why she go and say that? And now he done heard it, so I'm wondering how he's gonna feel about that. But yeah, he went up the steps. I said, just what they needed, more doggone drama. Y'all didn't think that they had enough drama going on as it is? But yeah, and a lot of people think that a lot of people thought that this was going to be, a fresh start. Now that Zach don't have no baby with Karen or no ties to Karen, no. They still going through it. But yeah, let's go all the way back because I don't skip ahead. We already talked about Rich. We already talked about Sabrina trying to get her groove back. Did we finish her? I already said how he couldn't do what he needed to do. And look like he's going to be on the couch when she leaves out the room the next morning or whatever on next week's episode. So I was like, yeah, she going to have to stop listening to her friends. Then she was talking about, also on tonight's new episode, she said something about, I think she was talking to Andy saying how, what was his name? Calvin. Because at first she was like, she got left and stuff like that. I was like, no, you left Rich. Wasn't she the one that ended it? But she was talking about Calvin, how he left her for that other lady and stuff like that. Then she ends up revealing what happened with Penelope and Rich and stuff like that. And I was like, girl, they still be playing victim. They still be playing doggone victim. They'll sit up here and do stuff, then be like, oh, or whatever, they did me wrong. No, you said all this emotion. You said all of this emotion, sweetheart. But yeah, aside from that, what else? Maurice and Paige was just gossiping about Andy. Maurice said that Andy know how to get a man. She stay with her. I said that wrong. Maurice said that Andy stayed with a man. I said, you know what, Maurice? You right. You ain't wrong. You ain't wrong. Now, I did think that she was trying to meet up with Vaughn because, you know, she liked him and stuff like that. But she was down to biz. I said, okay, Andy. I said, okay, Andy. I'm assuming we finna get her to see a different side of her. I'm assuming that we finna see a side of her that actually focus on just work and stuff. Now, I could be wrong. We'll see. What else? Let's see. I said Maurice and Paige was gossiping about Andy. And I think Paige said something about at least this one's not married or something. She said, I said, how she know that? Well, I take that back because they stay gossiping at work. They stay gossiping at work. That's how it is right there. Danny got home and that's when she seen Tony on the couch and she was just talking to him about finding work and stuff like that. He talking about something. He gonna build this and that for her. And I was like, he shouldn't have quit. He should not have quit. He should not have quit, especially since all this was, I ain't gonna say all of it was her fault, because he shouldn't have signed up for the program and stuff like that. But both of them at fault. I just say that. Both of them was at fault. But yeah, I said, this ain't gonna work. This ain't gonna work. She can't, she already didn't want him to be there in the first place. She already, as soon as he said he was quitting, she was like, she had doubts. She had concerns or whatever. Now he over here just proving her right. He over here just proving her right. I said she gonna have to tell him what it is. She gonna have to tell him straight up what it is. Hold on. Okay, let's see what else. Let's see. I think next we got Faith, Aaron, and Karen. So, Karen and Aaron was in bed together, and Faith was crying and stuff. So Aaron just kept trying to get Karen to wake up and get up and stuff like that so she could get the baby. And she wouldn't, so he got up. That's when Karen told him to take the baby in the other room or whatever. And she turned off the baby monitor. I was like, she going through, they're going to have to get her help or something. So after a while, he came back and he was like, he don't appreciate or like that, you know, she referred to their baby as that baby. She has a name. I said, right, don't tell her about herself. And I said, I think he's going to fully say what he thinking, what everybody been saying, how, you know, she feel that way because it was Zach's baby that didn't make it and stuff. Now, I don't think that's what it is. I think what she said on tonight's episode about, you know, messing up again, I think that's what it is. But y'all know I always try to see the good, even when ain't no. Hold on now. It says 12:39. There you go. It had paused, y'all. But yeah, I was just saying, y'all know I'm always trying to see the good in folks. So I don't know, y'all. I don't know. But I'm assuming Aaron feel the same way. So we'll see. But yeah, he told her his baby got a name. Their baby has a name or whatever. But yeah, what else? I think the next people we got is Andy and Vaughn. They was just talking about their non-negotiables and about marriage, and both of them don't know if they want marriage or kids and stuff like that. And I said they probably gonna end up together. We'll see. So she got to the point. She was talking to him, and he was like, they wanted to play, what is it called? Two Truths and a Lie or something like that. And he ends up mentioning how you only date white women and stuff. And she saw that as her opening to say how black women been treated and stuff like that, you know, at that hospital, and how she want to bring a case against them. And he was like, that's why you lured me here. Look, he thought he was going to get her. He thought he was going to get her. I thought he was going to get her too. He might still have a chance though, y'all. But yeah, that's when she was like, she need his help and stuff like that. And he was like, he can't help her because they already got a meeting scheduled for him because of what happened with the whole Karen situation. And she still was trying to convince him. I said, yeah, maybe we gonna actually see her do her job fully. Also, on the promo for next week's episode, the only one I've seen so far, Andy's gonna be talking to Fatima. She gonna be saying something about, you know, if anybody find out that, you know, she was practicing law and she ain't licensed, then they both could be in trouble. Hayden came in. What did he say, y'all? What did he say? Did he say that he got her back or something he said? I don't know. I don't know what he said, but I'm assuming Andy explaining why she feel that way, why she said what she said and stuff like that, because you're not supposed to be doing that. But at the same time, why would you tell her to handle it then? Duh. Why would you tell her to handle it? I'm confused now. I'm going to just wait to see the episode, because y'all know how they be. But yeah, what else? Let's see. I already said Fatima was trying everything to help Zach, and he just wouldn't budge. And I understand because it literally just happened. It literally just happened. It's going to take some time for these people to, like, I don't understand why y'all don't understand. And the majority of y'all parents, y'all know it's going to take doggone long time for somebody to get over the fact that their baby just died. I don't understand. Well, I say some people process things differently, you know. But it seemed like Karen and Zach kind of processing things alike. No, I think Karen more out of it though. I think she more out of it. But yeah, I was like, it's not about you right now. Like this, I will say that because a lot of people been saying Zach need to get over it and stuff like that. Do what you somebody if you lost a child, would you tell? How would you feel if somebody told you you need to get over it or whatever? You can't. That literally just happened. What 3 weeks ago? These folks now will say he gonna have to communicate with his future wife, his wife, as he keeps saying, Mrs. Taylor, because this ain't gonna work. This ain't gonna work. That's why I've been saying they don't need to get married right now. They ain't making no doggone progress every time you turn around. But yeah, I already said has Zach got a midwife. Sabrina done took Frank home. She was having second thoughts. Paige trying to introduce her brother to Maurice Dillon. And they actually hit it off from what it looked like, and she actually had somebody in her face as well. I gotta go back to the midwife situation, cause the midwife was asking questions about any pregnancies or miscarriages and stuff like that, and she was like no, and I was like, are we forgetting? I'm confused now. Y'all don't forget what y'all wrote. First, if you watch the team, you know on the team, cause that aired before this episode of Sistas, not like tonight's episode, but on the team, that Ian dude, she was pregnant by him. She said he convinced her to have an abortion. That's the first thing. The second thing, Zach and Fatima was in the doggone car on Sistas, and she said she had a miscarriage. Like, did she not want the lady to know or what? But yeah, I was like, and then Zach, he didn't say nothing either because she was talking to him when she said she had a miscarriage. But yeah, she said no, she didn't have no miscarriages and stuff like that, and yeah, that's all that happened with that. What else? Aaron was bothered by Karen calling Faith the baby. Karen said she's scared, doesn't want to make any more mistakes. That's when he started telling her it's not her fault. We already talked about Vaughn. Let's see. Andy told Vaughn that she's building a case against the hospital going after Dr. Cruz. They showed Sabrina in bed with Frank. We already talked about that. I said Sabrina in bed with Frank, but it's not working, literally. Maurice and Dylan was flirting with each other stuff. Zach said that the hospital failed them. He doesn't want to do the hospital again. Vaughn doesn't want to lose his career because they already, having a meeting. We talked about that. Maurice said him and, what was his name? Grayson? They broke up. Y'all, because y'all know I asked about that. Maurice, he made a little joke or made a little comment. He said that he know Beyonce's cousin, a.k.a. Pam. If you didn't know, the lady that plays Pam is Beyonce's cousin. Fatima calls Danny. We already talked about that. And says Zach is off, and she ends up saying, this is why I said, they should have just gave Fatima new friends, better friends. Now, Danny and her, I do like their friendship and stuff like that, but once again, certain stuff you should not be talking about. Now, I know if you're friends, you're going to talk about certain things, but when it's connected to that other friend, it should be off limits. But yeah, she said, once again, she was relieved when they found out that was Zach's baby, which means she was glad that Zach's baby was dead. I know a lot of people gonna be like, that ain't what it means. That's literally what it means. She said she was relieved. What that mean, y'all? But yeah, I said, but a lot of people felt that way. A lot of people been going in. They like, she need to get up. The reason she doing this is because of Zach and stuff like that. But by Aaron's comments, I think he agree with y'all. I think he feel that way too. And like I said, he's slowly starting to tell her how he feels. Let me see what time it is, y'all. 9:31. Yeah, I'm waiting on them to drop the other promo. I might drop a video tonight or tomorrow. Sometime this week, we'll see. But yeah, that's all that happened. Let me know y'all thoughts down below. Stay tuned for the next review. Until next time, deuces. Have a great rest of the day, a great rest of the night, and be safe.